I feel a real acceleration of everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the Lord's been speaking about that. And what I had down here literally came out of an experience that I've had that is really very common. How many of you have had the experience of seeing particular numbers repeated? Well, for the past 4 years, significantly, maybe, repeatedly, I mean, almost a daily experience that, there'll be a little bit of selahs in between, pauses, but 444 has been there for a long time. And the Lord took me to Ezekiel 44:4. He brought me by way of the north gate to the front of the temple, so I looked, and behold, the glory of the Lord filled the house of the Lord, and I fell on my face. And I know he keeps it in front of me because he keeps telling me, get down. Get down. The glory is filling the house, and don't take it lightly. But when I was sitting with the Lord 2 mornings in a row, back to back, 333. Jeremiah 33:3, call to me and I will answer you and show you great and mighty things which you do not know. Okay, so I see, and I've seen 333, not as often as 444, but it's been popping up, but 2 mornings in a row. And I'm going, okay, I'm taking notice of this because, that is for me. So really what comes, and only one of the mornings is here. The other one will have to be some other time because it's too long. But it really was kind of in this place of the acceleration of what the Lord is doing. And it had everything to do with being transported into his presence. Song of Songs 2, verses 4 and 5 says, suddenly he transported me into his house of wine. He looked upon me with his unrelenting love divine, revive me with your goblet of wine, refresh me again with your sweet promises, help me and hold me, for I am lovesick. I am longing for more, yet how could I take more? I just was riveted with this, transported me into his house of wine.
What was that reference again?
Song of Songs, chapter 2. And that's out of the Passion Translation, which really catches it. Because the New King James says, he brought me into his banqueting house. But if you look at the footnote at the bottom of the page, banqueting house literally means house of wine. That changes everything for me. It's a stunning revelation of the direct movement of the Spirit of God. He moved me into a place. Transported means emotionally moved, ecstatic, carried or taken from one place to another. So I was talking about the gate of Ascension and stepping through the gate. And when we step through the gate, we enter into the eternal realm of glory. So now the Lord began to speak to me in this regard out of the Song of Songs, and our stepping through is the Lord's invitation to intimacy and our response in an instantaneous movement. Does it make sense? He says, come. We respond, and it's instantaneous. And the bringing, and that's what the New King James says, he brought me. The bringing, or he transported, is a catching up, if you will, into his presence. Okay, so stay with me just a second, because I've been trying to frame this and picture it, because it's something that is so experiential. But what I begin to understand is being brought into or transported or caught up is both an experiential event and a radical shift in position or paradigm. There are more and more people that we're coming in contact with that literally have been transported. And they're oftentimes they're the ones that don't want anybody to, don't pass it around, because it's still largely something that is dismissed by a lot of people. And I can understand why. It's something that is so radical. It happens and you're never the same. But it's not just an experiential event, but it's a shift in paradigm. I set my heart on deepening intimacy with God. I want to know Him. And that's an important thing, because, and this has been brought to my attention in a lot of the ways that the Spirit has been moving. How much do I spend in engaging the Lord because of something I want? Something I need Him to do? Something I want from Him? Or am I seeking His presence just to know Him? I realize that there's a pattern that a lot of us have, and that pattern is of engaging the Lord and in our prayers and our meditations. And because He delights in us, and we know that, and we focus on it. I have gifts to give you. I have these things to do. Well, the next thing I know, that a lot of my engagement with Him is, Lord, I need this. I need this. But what I really feel is that the Lord is bringing a shift in the body to a place where we come back to that place of understanding that He is a person. And He wants us to know Him as a person. I'm sure that my Donna, Miss Donna Lee, wants me to know her as a person. She wants me to engage her, not just simply, Donna, can you do this for me? Can you help me with this? But I want to know you, see. God is just as much a reality, a real person as we are. He's relational. So anyway, I realize that. And so when we approach it that way, He responds. He responds over the top response. And we're immediately brought into the secret place of intimate union. Now, when that begins to happen, I find myself in a whole new position. And literally, I shift from an earthly paradigm to a heavenly paradigm. And I find my heart set on a whole new journey of faith. A grand adventure begins to unfold.
Thank you, Jesus.
Okay? I believe we're here for that very reason. It was, and when I talk about shifting paradigm, this is big, because we live in the tension of two dimensions. Quantum physics has proven the multidimensional aspect of the reality of existence. And people talk, multiple dimensions, you're just getting wiki-wacky. Well, we believe, as believers, in at least two. We literally live in two dimensions, with the tension of two dimensions. It was back in 2007, where I had a direct encounter with the Spirit. I was by myself on an early Saturday morning. It was April, my birth month. It was right after my birthday, and it was a decade birthday. And I'm sitting quietly on a Saturday morning, and I heard a thwomp. And I thought something had happened I was living in a little garden apartment. But everything was quiet, and I went, what? And the Spirit said, I've shifted the paradigm. And He said, you're no longer going to think as you once thought, believe as you once believed, speak as you once spoke, think as you once thought or live the way you once lived. I've shifted the paradigm from the earthly paradigm ruled by the kingdom of men to the kingdom of God, the eternal kingdom ruled by your Father. And that's what's happening. And I think in many ways what happens with people in a being transported into his house of wine is literally that shift in paradigm. And it can take really at the experience of literally being caught up into it. So, we're on an adventure. The question is, why do so few of us experience that? Now, here's the really a fundamental issue, and we're describing it in a number of different ways. Mm-hmm. And I can only speak for myself, because it's dangerous to be saying, oh, well, this is, a very fundamental issue for why am I not experiencing on a consistent basis or being caught up into the presence of God. And the basic is, it hurts, but it's a reality. I'm selfish and self-centered.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Okay? And the bottom line for us, because of the dynamic, and this is the fact that the world system the world that we live in, okay, is rooted in self. I put it this way, and I maybe mentioned it before, I don't know, but in passing, but we are spiritual beings having a human experience. We're not human beings having a spiritual experience trying to connect with the deity. The world system says you're nothing but a carbon, entity, mechanically operating according to, physical laws and things like that, and you've got some idea of some deity out there someplace, but it's all in your brain function with electricity, and so there might be something spiritual, but you're just making your way through this earth, and when you're gone, you blink out of existence, and that's it. Okay? God says, no, wait a minute, I created you in my image. And I gave you an earth suit to live in, so that you will be transformed into the, and the term that came to light, if you will, for us is luminous manifestation. I've heard it said, and I think it's really good, we are to be Christ as ourselves in the earth realm. Christ in you, the hope of glory, is not, I'm going to heaven someday. No, the reality is Christ in you, the unfolding hope of the transformation that's taking place under transfiguration, where we become a luminous manifestation of him. Okay, having said that, it changes everything when I realized, and it's been a long time ago, that I'm a spiritual being and I'm having a human experience, and here's the deal. I'm learning to live in the tension of what that means.